everyone, it's Lisa from I Dream in Soap. Welcome to my channel, thanks for dropping by. Now, it's time for another soap challenge. Now, this month's soap challenge was a completely new technique. It's a technique that combines a lot of other techniques that exist, but together it is something that it does seem to be completely different. So what we need to do is we're doing what they're calling the Swing Swirl. Now, the techniques that we're combining is the use of dividers. Now, normally, when you use dividers, you'll typically do your dividers across the length of the mould and then pull them out and do something like a Taiwan swirl or something. This time for our dividers, we need our dividers to be going down the width of the mould. So literally they're going to be going through the bars of soap. And when we put our dividers in, you can see how my mould's marked here. We're not going to try and put them like this to split the bars out. We're going to put them in the middle of the two bars. The idea being that one part of the bar will be one colour and the other side of the bar will be the other colour. So those are our dividers. Obviously it does mean that you need to make yourself some dividers. I've just made myself some. I've got a 3D printer obviously, so I was able to just print them out. But just using bits of cardboard or plastic cutting mat or something like that would be a great thing to use. So that's the first part, is to pour our soap in between these dividers. And then the second part was to remove the dividers, and then what we're going to do is essentially a sort of hanger swirl. You're going to take some sort of tool like a hanger or something, and you're going to drag it from one side of the soap to the other and potentially back again. Now you may just do it once and back, or move it up and do it again and back, playing around to get a design that you like. And the idea here is that when you pour your soaps, you're going to pour different colours in each of these segments, and the dragging of the tool is going to drag that colour through to the other bits of colour, and hopefully should end up giving you a good design throughout your soap. Right, okay, so that's what we need to do. Let's get going now. Now, for me, in what we call the winners category, the soap challenge has changed recently. You have the regular category for people who've been making soap up to, I think it is 3 years. And then there's the advanced category for people who've been making soap for longer than that. And then there's the winners category, which is the top category, that if you've placed top 3 more than once in that advanced category, you have to go into this winners category. So for the winners category, which is what I'm doing, is the rules tend to be a little bit more complicated because the soap challenge is trying to push us. So there's lots of things we needed to do. So it could be things like, rather than just using 2 colours, we needed to use 3 colours. Rather than doing single blocks of colour, we could do different colours in our blocks. Rather than using just a typical, curved hanger tool, we had to do something more unique than that. Okay, so there's all sorts of different things, and we had to do one or more of these varieties, as it were. So that's what I'm doing. Now, for mine, I want to start off and I want to drop a single bit of colour down in the corner of my mould. It's actually going to be sort of like a moon, a harvest moon type thing. Now, this is one of those things that's, because it's a soap challenge, I'm going to do this in a way that I wouldn't normally do it. The soap challenge says that we have to use dividers that span across our mould during the pour. Now, I must admit, it wasn't clear whether that meant at some point during the pour or all the way through the pour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my dividers in, and I'm going to pour my first bit of soap moon whilst the divider's in the mould. A little bit annoying, because what I should really want to do is just take it, put it on here, pour it in the corner, be done with it. But then technically I may not be using my dividers during the pour, and therefore technically I could get disqualified. So I really want to just get a bit of soap, pour it in there and leave it for a minute, and that will be fine. So the only reason I'm not doing that is because I want to make sure I'm following the rules of the challenge. And sometimes you may think, oh, what a pain. These guidelines or rules have to be put in place so that people can't just do anything that they like. Okay, so therefore it does mean that if you want to do something a bit different, it does just literally mean that you sometimes have to do it in a slightly more awkward way to make sure you're still complying with the rules. Okay, so I'm just going to make up a little bit of sort of orangey red soap and then come back when I've done that. I've made up a little bit of soap, just about 100 grams of oils, and this is a combination of neon orange and some terracotta red. And this is again the same, but just a little bit more terracotta red in it, just so it's not all just one solid colour. Now, fragrance I'm using is Nag Champa from Nature's Garden. I haven't used this for ages, but from what I can remember, it does sort of behave pretty well. So taking a little bit of a risk with it. So let's just get that fragrance measured out. And then I'm just going to do sort of in the pot swirl. I'm just want this colour not all to be the same colour. Now, it might not even show up in the soap because it is very similar, but we'll see. And then, as I said, what I would normally do if I was going to do something in a corner, I would just pour it straight in the corner of my soap. But because I want to make sure I'm always sticking to the rules of the challenge, I'm just going to take this and just get it into the corners like this. A little bit of a fag, but never mind. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that a little while, just a few seconds, just so it's a little bit thicker before I start pouring my other colours into that. Okay, so I'm just going to come back. I'll clean these dividers off and I'll come back when that's done. For the rest of my soap, I want to do everything together. So I've got a whole bunch of colours here. This is just my pre-dispersed activated charcoal and titanium dioxide that I've mixed up. And then here I've pre-dispersed some neon purple mica and some shimmer blue mica from Mica Mama. These are all the oils that I need for the rest of my soap, and here's my lye solution and sodium lactate. Okay, so pouring them gently together over a spatula just to minimise any bubbles. Then I'm going to get those blended up and then split off. Okay, I'm just going to bring that to an emulsion rather than a trace because I've still got to work with these colours and get them mixed up. Now I'm going to divide these colours up sort of evenly. I want my black and white to be a bar, sort of one of those dividers between them, as it were. But I do want my blue and my purple to share a bar, as it were, because I'm going to sort of ombre those in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this by 3 and pour out 3 bits. But obviously these want, rather than a third, these want a 1/6 each. So I'm just going to weigh this and divide this out. So looking on my scales, that's come to 2,188 grams. I need to remember to take the weight of my jug off, which is 223 grams. So in total, I know everything in there comes to 1965. So if I divide that by 3, I can see that each bit needs to be 655. I'm just going to write that down. So my black and my white needs to be 655. Then if I divide it by 2 again, because remember I want to split the blue and the purple up, those want to be 327 each. And then I always just do a little check to make sure that comes to the right thing. 655 plus 655 plus 327 plus 327 plus my pot 2187, 2188. Yep, that's fine, that calculation's done right. So I'm just going to weigh out those amounts. Now, it doesn't matter if it's not super duper perfectly accurate to the gram. I just want to get them split out. So I'm just going to do that, and I'll come back, because my scales are behind me. I'll come back when I've weighed them out. So I've split out that batter. Also a bit of a wardrobe change. I saw some of the more observant of you will have noticed that. Oh, it's actually quite hot here, so I had to get my jumper off and then put my sleeves on. Now I have put my fragrance oil in with the whole batch straight away, so I didn't have to worry about dividing it out even more. So the fragrance is in here. And then because I've already dispersed these micas and pigments in oil, I can literally just stir them in, and I don't have to worry about blending them and accelerating my batter anymore. Okay, so they're all ready. I'm just going to wait till I've got the very lightest of trace, and then we're going to start pouring them in the mould. Okay, so I've just started to pour this in. I didn't realise the camera wasn't actually rolling, so I'm just going in and putting a little bit of each colour in at a time. I'm going to ombre this colour here, so I've got my purple in at the moment, and then I will gradually start to bring in the blue as well. So I'm just trying to see whether I'd got to. Black, white, purple.
We've been acting out for days, nothing to deny. Spinning in circles, we're fighting for days, stuck in a phase. I think we're losing the reason. One word is all it takes, babe. Bursting out in cold flames, breathing, we are catching fire. Thought that we were wiser, go and light the match, babe. Miss out on the good days, breathing, we are catching fire.
Okay, so I think I'm done with that. Now I'm just going to get these dividers out. I'm going to be quite quick because it's starting to thicken up just a little bit.
Arguments spinning in circles, we're fighting for days, stuck in a phase. I think we're losing the reason. One word is all it takes, babe. Bursting out in cold flames, breathing, we are catching fire. Thought that we were wiser, go and light the match, babe. Miss out on the good days, breathing, we are catching fire.
Okay, so there's that done. So now I'm going to try and scrape my design into it. So here's my scraper. Now it's quite thick. It's a lot thicker than I sort of thought I wanted to do, because I was hoping to keep a nice thin batter, and then I thought if it was too skinny then I'm not going to be able to drag much soap, so I'm hoping I'm going to get the soap dragging through there. And then this is my second part, so I'm going to go in with this one first.
We're catching fire. One word is all it takes, babe. Bursting out in cold flames, breathing, we are catching fire. Thought that we were wiser, go and light the match, babe. Miss out
tight at the end, squishing some of that soap out, but that's okay. Right, let's get that out. And then I'm going to go into my second part, and what I'm going to do with this second part is I'm going to go the other way so that the colours drag through and you get different colours coming through the other side. Definitely not working so well this way. Yeah, I don't think that second scraper is going to work. So what I am going to do is just try and do some scrapes. Sort of make the... because there's only going to be stripes of fur, so let me think how long they should be. I'm going to see if I can do them with just going through. Like that. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I have no clue if that's going to have worked. Let's put it in the oven, to C-pop overnight, and then we'll see what we've got in the morning. Here we are the next day with our soap. So let's get this cut. Remembering I want to line up so that these coloured bits come halfway through. That's it. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got. Ooh, where should we go? I'm going to go here. Oh, I think that's come out quite well. The bottom's a little bit weird. Remember when I ended up having to scrape through the bottom? But the top, the wolf shapes come out quite well. And I think I did do a previous one where I dragged something through, and because it was quite thin, the line hardly showed. So if you remember with the template that I made it excessively fat, and that therefore made that line a little bit fatter, and it also meant that I couldn't actually drag that bottom one through. So let's just have a look at another one, see what we've got. Oh, this is a black one this time. Oh, I think they've come out okay. Again, the bottom's a little bit weird. The moon's a little bit funny at the top, but then again, that's because of the way that I had to do it. But yeah, I don't mind that at all. I certainly think maybe it's a technique that's great perhaps for making more patterns and things. You know, just doing a random pattern or something through it is quite good. The detail does seem quite difficult to get with this technique.
And here's a final photo of the soap. I hope you've enjoyed the video and you like the soap, and I do really appreciate you taking the time to watch the videos. If you did like the video, then it would be great if you gave me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see what I'm making in the future, why not subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching everyone. Happy soaping!